So a friend of ours tells me that you like mob movies. That's good, because today's Monday, and you know what that means.
It's Mob Movie Monday.
My Adidas tracksuit's at the tailor, so I'm wearing a leather jacket, because it's all I got. So go ahead, take a seat, relax, have some gabagool. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna be ranking Mafia movies. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe, capiche? Oh, this fucking thing is too tight. Stupid leather jacket. Piece of shit. Ugh. Donnie Brasco, it's not a typical mob movie since it's focused around an FBI agent infiltrating the mob, but this is probably one of the best films of Johnny Depp's career before he started getting weird. Al Pacino was also really good in it, so I give it an A. Public Enemies is Johnny Depp's second attempt at making a gangster movie. In this one, he portrays John Dillinger, a bank robber. This movie's pretty dog shit, I'm not gonna lie. It was very slow a lot of the time, and they had a shootout in the movie that was like 2.5 hours long just by itself. I mean, shootouts are supposed to be the coolest part of the movie, but this one went on for way too long, so I give it a C. Legend. In this movie, Tom Hardy plays two twins who basically ran the London Mafia. Now, he was great, obviously. He's always great in everything he does, but everything else was pretty bad. The writing was bad. The pacing was bad. There was this whole love story that it didn't even make sense, like why it was in there. But it wasn't horrible, so I give it a B. Whoa, The Godfather. This is the movie that basically created the genre of mob movies. If I ranked it anything under an S, I'd probably get whacked. S. Gangs in New York is a Scorsese gangster movie, but it's a little bit different because it's not focused on the mob. It's like immigrants in the late 1800s. I like this movie a lot. I thought it was very good. Liam Neeson's in it. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. Daniel Day-Lewis. What else do you want? What else do you want? S. Pulp Fiction is not necessarily a mob movie. Well, you know what? Actually, not all of these are straight up mob movies. They're more like gangster movies. So I guess I got to change the name of the video to Mafia/Gangster movies, but that's okay. Pulp Fiction is an absolute S. It had some of the best dialogue in film history. It had some of the best scenes, like great characters. Jules was amazing. John Travolta, who I hate. Like, I liked him in this movie, you know? So, Pulp Fiction is absolute S, no doubt about it. Mafia! That's the name of this movie. Mafia with an exclamation point at the end. Now, typically, as many of you may know, when a movie has an exclamation point at the end, it's going to be dog shit. And this movie does not break away from that rule. It's a parody of other mob movies like Casinos and Goodfellas. Not a lot of people have seen this, and for good reason, but I have seen much, much worse parody movies, so I'm not going to give it an F, but I will give it a C. King of New York. This movie stars Christopher Walken as the titular king of New York. Now, in this movie, Christopher Walken is supposed to be a cool, smooth, slick guy. Yeah, I don't really know if I buy that. I don't know if it was the way he portrayed it or the way it was written, but I didn't like his character in the movie, and that kind of ruined it for me because he's the main character, so I'll give it a C. Gotti, starring John Travolta.
Let me tell you something. New York is the greatest fucking city in the world.
It's no secret that this movie is bad. It's very bad. If you don't believe me, you know, just look up the reviews of it. Normally I tell you not to trust critic reviews, but man, this was a very terrible film. I'll give it an F. It might be the worst mob movie ever, honestly. Black Mass, another Johnny Depp movie. In this one, he plays Whitey Bulger, who was a gangster in Boston. It was better than Public Enemies. That being said, it wasn't great. It was definitely slow at times. The makeup was bad, in my opinion, and it just wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. B. Godfather Part 2. A lot of people say it's better than the first one. I think they're about equal. It's pretty cool that you got to see Vito when he was younger as Robert De Niro, and you get like those two stories. But yeah, I mean, definite S. Analyze This is a comedy where Robert De Niro goes to a therapist. I think this movie's hilarious, man. I love it. A lot of people haven't seen it, but I have to give it an A just because it holds a place right here in my chest cavity. Kill the Irishman. This one might still be on Netflix. I don't know. It's about some Irish guy named Danny Green who was a mafia guy in Ohio. It's pretty good, but it was a pretty low-budget movie, and it shows in a lot of places. It's like borderline A and B, but I'll give it a B just to be a schmuck. Get Shorty. This one's another comedy. Danny DeVito's great in it. He's hilarious as always. John Travolta, he's good in this one again. This was like shortly after Pulp Fiction, but I like Get Shorty a lot. I'll give it an A. Reservoir Dogs. I like this movie a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near the level of Pulp Fiction or The Godfather. So I'll give it an A tier. The dialogue and the casting and the acting, everything was very good, but it just wasn't at that S tier level. So it gets an A. Snatch. This is a British one, isn't it? You got Jason Statham. You got Brad Pitt doing a really good Irish accent. I think it's an S, man. That might be... People might disagree with me, but I think it's an S. It's a great movie. The Godfather Part 3. On its own, it's a mediocre film. It's average, whatever. But when you compare it to the first two in the series and you got those expectations, it's absolute dog shit. I mean, it's not the worst movie ever, but it's definitely no higher than a C. Also, Al Pacino just, I don't know what they were thinking with that hairstyle that they gave him, bro. And the makeup was just, everything about this movie is boring. I think that's the worst part of it, is just, it was boring. And, I didn't like it. I think a lot of people didn't like it. So, yeah, C. Goodfellas. For me, this is an A. Because I don't like Ray Liotta. And that's the only reason it wouldn't be an S. But I'm going to be impartial because I know it's the most influential mob movie of all time. It's a lot of people's favorite movie in general. And it is a great film, undeniably. The only reason I don't like it as much is because of Ray Liotta. I don't know why I don't like him. I just think he's not great. But, that's my personal issue. So that should not keep Goodfellas out of a S tier. I'm not trying to get whacked here. So Goodfellas is an S. All right? Undeniably. Casino, I think, is much better than Goodfellas, and it's actually my favorite film of all time. So Casino gets an S tier, no doubt about it. No questions asked. Capiche? The Departed, another Scorsese classic. This one was good because it had a lot of twists and turns. All the actors were amazing. The dialogue was great. The writing, everything about it was amazing. So it has to get an S. The Family is a comedy starring Robert De Niro where he's in the witness protection program in France. I actually like this movie a lot. I thought it was pretty funny. It didn't blow my socks off or anything, so I'll give it a B. A Bronx Tale was very good. It was directed by Robert De Niro, and it was good because it showed the perspective of someone who was outside the mob but looking in, which I thought was very cool. So I give it the Bronx Tale an A. It's not S level, but it's still very good. Scarface, say hello to my little friend. S. Killing Him Softly. This one was kind of weird to me. It was kind of there was a mystery about who are they working for type of thing. James Gandolfini's in it, and I love him. I'll give it an A. It's not S, but it's still a really great movie. American Gangster, I think this might be the best performance of Denzel's career, and that's saying a lot. It's an S tier 100%. The Irishman had potential to be great. Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. The cast was all there, but it just did not live up to the expectations. First of all, it was way too long. It could have been 45 minutes shorter, right? There was a fucking 20-minute long scene of them just driving the car. And normally, I like dialogue. I liked it in Pulp Fiction. But there comes to a point where it's come on, bro. What are we even talking about anymore? And besides the fact that it was too long, it's you got 70-year-old men playing 30-year-old men, but they move like 70-year-old men, and that was very off-putting to me. So for that reason, I have to give it a B, man. It could have been great. It really could have been 20 years ago, but it is what it is. But I think that's it. I know there's a lot of movies missing from this list, but that's because I haven't seen them. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of my decisions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Later, guys.